Live from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Hello there, good evening and a warm welcome to the 9 p.m. news of the most prestigious channel in Sri Lanka, bringing news stories from across the globe and stories here at home. I am Sonal Paranavithana.
And I'm Sutami Jayaratna. Let's take a look at today's headlines.
President emphasizes that there is no chance at all of the state crashing in the light of the economic stability of the country. Negotiations to be expanded to get US tariffs further reduced. 991 BYD vehicles under customs custody, released on several conditions. Final Kandy Perahera of Kandy tomorrow. Paying off an extra amount of 7,730,262 rupees to a former Chief Minister of Sabaragamuwa province, exceeding the approved fuel limit, revealed. The US tariff of 50% imposed on India to be effective in 21 days.
Now on to those stories and more in detail. President Anurakkumara Dissanayake says there is no chance at all of the state crashing in the light of the economic stability of the country.
The President made this observation joining the adjournment debate regarding the present economic condition of the country. President Anurakkumara Dissanayake said that the country had entered a phase of economic stabilization, citing significant improvements across key sectors such as exports, tourism and foreign direct investment. He said that 2025 had already become the best performing year in Sri Lanka's history in terms of export income and tourism revenue. The President explained that the recent unrest of electricity bills had sparked widespread concern, but emphasized that the government had taken decisive steps to protect major state institutions, including the Ceylon Electricity Board, the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation and 2 major state banks. Debts owed to those institutions had been absorbed by the Treasury, he said, allowing the government to shield them from a collapse and prepare for structural reforms. Referring to export performance, Dissanayake said that the first 6 months of 2025 had seen the highest ever export earnings. He pointed to a 57% growth in the African market and a 26% increase in Asian markets compared to the same period last year, asserting that Sri Lanka would no longer depend on just a few global markets or countries. He said industrialists would be provided with the necessary infrastructure to grow, but insisted they must fulfill their tax obligations to the state. He also noted a 10% increase in tourism income compared to the previous year. President Dissanayake claimed that Sri Lanka was on track to record its highest level of foreign direct investment ever, stressing the importance of FDI to an economy like Sri Lanka's, which he describes as lacking both a large domestic market and extensive raw materials. He reported that FDI had increased by 101% compared to the first half of 2024, rising from $252 million to $507 million. He also mentioned that the government had approved $1.3 billion in FDI for a large-scale urban development project in Colombo. Regarding the matter of vehicle imports, the President refuted reports that the government would impose restrictions. He said the market would remain open and that the government expected to open letters of credit amounting to between $1.5 to $1.8 billion by December. He alleged that certain groups were spreading misinformation in an attempt to destabilize the rupee. Dissanayake emphasized that 2025 had shown strong signs of being Sri Lanka's best year in terms of dollar inflow, exports, tourism and investment. He said that although many had doubted the government's 4.5 trillion rupee revenue target for the year, those projections were now being met, driven by economic discipline and data-based governance. Touching on the crisis in the sugar industry, he pointed out the high production costs, overstaffing and a lack of modernization as core issues. He said that the government now faced 2 options, either to sell sugar below cost and absorb losses or to impose import taxes to stabilize prices. He warned that a minimum tax of 50 rupees per kilogram would be necessary and advised all sectors to contribute taxes rather than seek exemptions. The government, he added, would allocate 10 billion rupees to support struggling sugar companies. The president also stated that the government currently holds 1 trillion rupees in liquidity and has ended the artificial market controls that distorted the economy in the past. The president said that the government now manage the market and are committed to correcting long-standing distortions. President Dissanayake acknowledged that in the recent past, Sri Lanka had experienced economic collapse, political crisis and public uprisings that led to the fall of governments. However, he declared that his administration would not suffer the same fate, stating that key indicators had stabilized and the government was committed to legal and institutional reform. He emphasized that institutions such as Criminal Investigation Department and the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption had been empowered and fully supported. No one is above the law anymore, he said, adding that law enforcement was now pursuing white-collar criminals without political interference. Calling for continued support, the president said the government was rebuilding the country without personal or partisan agendas. He noted that for the first time in the country's history, business leaders and the international community recognized that political power was not being used for theft or abuse. This, he said, was vital to investor confidence and Sri Lanka's global reputation. The president said that the rule of law, economic prosperity and the dismantling of the underworld, including organized crimes and narcotic networks, were essential to restoring the nation. He asked for time and public patience, stating that the government had a clear plan to improve education, healthcare, transport and living standards. We are rebuilding what was destroyed, he said, warning those who sought to disrupt that progress not to forget that the law would be upheld. Parliamentarian Dr. Harsha De Silva remarked that the opposition continued to engage constructively out of respects for the president's office, even though they had political disagreements. He said the opposition supported the government's move to reduce taxes and reiterated their patriotism, noting that in politics, rhetorics may vary, but commitment to the country was constant. In response, President Anurukumara Dissanayake firmly rejected the notion that mere tax cuts. Some said that United States would impose a 44% tariffs and US will only apply India with lower 15% taxes. Criticizing Dr. Harsha De Silva's previous economic forecasts, the president remarked that if events had unfolded as the MP had anticipated, Sri Lanka would have collapsed by now. He accused Dr. De Silva of wrongly assuming that the economy was bound to fail under the current administration. The president went further to say that if anyone inside or outside of the state was attempting to sabotage the nation's progress through conspiracies, they were effectively acting against the state. He warned the government would take all necessary measures to dismantle such conspiracies, affirming that no one would be allowed to derail Sri Lanka's recovery. President Anurukumara Dissanayake says that the discussions will be widened to further reduce US trade tariffs. The president stated this fact joining the debate in Parliament today. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa stated that regarding the president's response to the US tariff issue, the opposition, along with other political parties, had met with President and conveyed that regardless of political differences, the country must unite to address this matter collectively. Minister Sunil Handunethe remarked that although the opposition leader was not pleased, the people of the country know that the economy has significantly improved, society is stabilizing and culturally the country is progressing. He claimed that good governance has been established, corruption is being addressed and the country is on the right path according to the people's understanding. Opposition parliamentarian Dr. Harsha De Silva said that a country cannot be developed solely through borrowing. He stressed that Sri Lanka has become trapped because of constant borrowing and emphasized that development must not rely entirely on loans. President Anurukumara Dissanayake declared in Parliament that approximately 25% of Sri Lanka's exports go to the United States, with nearly 60% of apparel exports destined for the US, and due to the United States' impose of higher tariffs had a direct effect to the over 300,000 workers in the apparel sector. He explained that they entered these negotiations from a very difficult position and that progress had to be made step by step to lower the taxes for 20%. He acknowledged the efforts of Ambassador Mahinda Samarsinghe and the US, stating that their team engaged in discussions with US officials to resolve the issue without harming the country's economy. He added that they have not yet reached a final agreement regarding the tariff issue and that it remains unresolved. He also highlighted that any pressure from opposition groups or others on the US tax policy could affect the economy, but so far there has been no final consensus. Currently, around 20% tariffs have been imposed by the US, and Sri Lanka is continuing discussions to reduce this further. He further claimed that there have been many distorted and false claims made about the IMF program and emphasized the need for accurate understanding.
Chairman of the Sri Lanka Export Development Board, Mangala Vijayasinghe, says that the target of the board is to earn an export income of $30 million by 2030. He made these comments at a media briefing held today at the Department of Government Information. Chairman of the Sri Lanka Export Development Board, Mangala Vijayasinghe, said that Sri Lanka currently has an export income of $15 billion. As a country with that level of export revenue, export account for 19% for the gross domestic product. He said that after the new government came into power, a structured plan has been put in place aiming to increase this to 25% of the GDP over the coming years. He added that Sri Lanka targets reaching $15 billion in foreign exchange earning by 2028. And to achieve of this, the contribution of the export sector is crucial. He emphasizes that the reaching of the global benchmark of $15 billion in foreign reserves would only be possible through significant contribution from exports. Accordingly, the Export Development Board has now reversed its national export strategy. Chief Executive Officer of the Colombo Stock Exchange, Rajiv Bandaranaike, said that the daily transaction value in the stock market in 2023 was around 1.7 billion rupees. He mentioned that in 2024 this has increased about 2.2 billion rupees per day. By July 30, 2025, the daily turnover had grown to 4.6 billion rupees. He noted that there was a significant surge in transactions this year. Comparing the number of the trades, he explained that in 2023 and 2024, around 14,000 transactions had taken place.
Minister Wasantha Samarasinghe says that the time has come to start investigations regarding the activities conducted by misusing political power. The minister made these remarks in response to a question raised by parliamentarian D.V. Chanaka over an orbited satellite. Opposition parliamentarian D.V. Chanaka stated that the core issue they raised was whether government funds were misused. During the Aragale period, people strongly accused the former president's son, saying he had stolen a large sum of money and criticizing the costs of launching a satellite. However, he pointed out today, even this government admits that not a single rupee from state funds was spent on that satellite. Minister Wasantha Samarasinghe said that the government powers had been used to register the company involved in satellite project and questioned the legitimacy of the investment supposedly made by that company. He emphasized that people want to know about where the investment was made by the company went. He said that the former president's son had claimed he studied space engineering, but no one was demanding to see his examination certificates or question which university he studied at. President Anura Kumara Dissanayake held a bilateral discussion with Australian Governor Samantha Joy Mostyn today in the afternoon at the President's office. Extensive discussions were held regarding the expansion of areas of cooperation of mutual benefit and further strengthening the more than 75-year-old friendship between Australia and Sri Lanka. Australian Governor Samantha Joy Mostyn emphasized that under the able leadership of President Anura Kumara Dissanayake, Australia will continuously provide assistance to Sri Lanka for a successful journey of the island. She added that Australia is ready in particular to provide assistance in order to strengthen the economy of the island. President Anura Kumara Dissanayake pointed out that Australia has become a centre in employment, education and vocational training for a large number of persons in Sri Lanka. President Dissanayake further said that Sri Lanka can learn much from the experience of Australia in these fields and also expect to share those experiences successfully. The President pointed out that an extremely conducive environment has been created in Sri Lanka for Australian investors. The Australian governor, who arrived in Sri Lanka in the evening yesterday for a 3-day official visit on an invitation extended by the President, Anura Kumara Dissanayake, will tour various parts of the country.
Measures have been taken to integrate all agencies responsible for disaster management. This way, the decision was taken when the Council has convened yesterday after a lapse of 7 years. A 14th session of the National Council for Disaster Management was held yesterday at the Presidential Secretariat under the patronage of the President Anurukumara Dissanayake. The Council is responsible for oversees the duties assigned to all institutions involved in disaster management, minimizing disaster risks across the country and making necessary policy decisions to guide those efforts. It also coordinates and facilitates disaster risk mitigation activities at national and provincial levels through the Disaster Management Centre. The discussion focused on new trends, future plans and current measures for the disaster risk reduction in Sri Lanka. The Council emphasises the importance of establishing a unified and centralised coordinated mechanism to enhance the efficiency of disaster management. In light of prevailing climate-related challenges, the committee underscored the need of enhanced disaster management mechanism and concluded that the existing legislation must be amended to reflect contemporary needs and emerging risk. President Anurukumara Dissanayake instructed the relevant officials to revise the current financial limitation associated with the disaster management and relief, as well as to allocate the required financial resources to restart halted projects. The President further instructed officials to update the Disaster Management Act in alignment with current conditions and challenges. President Anurukumara Dissanayake proposed an increase in the compensation provided by the government for housing. He also directed attention to the people who are still living in displacement camps. President serves as the chair of the Council, the Prime Minister as vice chair, and member including the leader of the opposition and the relevant subject ministers. Deputy Minister Dr. Prasanna Kumara Gunasena says Sri Lanka is reaching all its economic targets successfully. He made these comments at a ceremony held in Colombo today. Distributing land deeds for the families in Medigama Divisional Secretariat area who lost their residencies due to acquiring lands for the first stage of the Central Expressway was held today at the Maganaguma Mahamadura at Densil Kotabekaduwa Mawatha in Colombo. 16 such persons were provided with deeds at the ceremony. Parliamentarians Ruan Mapalagama, Chaminda Lalit Kumara and several others were present at this occasion. Deputy Minister Dr. Prasanna Kumara Gunasena stated that the country has now reached a point where large-scale development projects can be initiated as a stable economy has already been established. Based on this plan, work has commenced on the segments of the Medigama-Kurnagal highway section.
Moving on with local stories, the Director General of Customs today agreed in the appeal court to release 991 BYD vehicles at present under the custody of Sri Lanka Customs under several conditions. This agreement has been reached after considering a petition filed by the concerned company against the retaining of those vehicles. An amount of 3.6 billion rupees counted as the gap between concerned vehicle taxes should be forwarded as a bond of a state bank. The conditions also states that the petitioner company should agree to pay the concerned interest in this regard. The Director General of Customs agreed in the court after the petitioner party agreed with several conditions presented. The Colombo High Court today rejected an appeal filed by Sudha Janaka Fernando, owner of the concerned pharmaceutical company, who is in prison custody as a defendant in the case filed in the presence of a bench of 3 judges against former Minister of Health Keheli Rambukwella and a group of others regarding the incident of supplying substandard antibody vaccines to hospitals. The High Court Judge Justice Indrika Kalingavansha, delivering the verdict, stated that a case has been filed in the presence of a bench of 3 judges against the suspect by now. The Colombo High Court ordered today to call for hearing on the 1st of September the petition filed by former Minister Rajitha Senaratne requesting him to be released on bail by revising verdict given by the Colombo Chief Magistrate to reject the bail appeal requesting him to be released on an anticipatory bail before taking into custody by the Bribery Commission. The petition was taken up in the presence of High Court Judge Justice Indrika Kalingavansha today. Final Randoli Perahera of the historic Kandy Perahera festival is due to parade streets tomorrow.
According to the police, a special security arrangement and a traffic plan is in place for the devotees who will come to view the Perahera. The fourth Randoli Perahera of the historic Kandy Perahera festival is now parading the streets, including the Peraheras of the four Mahadevalayas, Natha, Vishnu, Kataragama and Pattini. A large number of devotees have gathered to view the Perahera, which started at the auspicious time of 7:02 p.m. facing north today. It will parade through the Dalada Vidya, DSA Nanayaka Vidya, Sir Bennett the Soisa Vidya and Yatinuvara Vidya, and will take a turn at Raja Vidya and will return to Sri Dalada Maligaon premises via DSA Nanayaka Vidya and Raja Vidya. The sacred casket of relics is being carried by the Tusker Indi Raja, flanked by the Pulasti Raja and Burma Raja. For the final Randoli Perahera to be held tomorrow, road barriers, security duty vehicles and searching of persons, guidance of tourists, parking of vehicles along with other activities will be included in a special program to be in operation. According to the police, apart from the special traffic plan in operation during the time of Perahera, a daily traffic program for the Kandy city will also be in operation tomorrow. All vehicles entering Kandy city from Katugastota can reach Kandy via Police Junction through Tilak Ratnayaka Mawatha from Mahiyava Junction. Only light vehicles arriving from Katugastota can arrive through Tilak Ratnayaka Mawatha, taking a turn from AA Dharmasena Mawatha after reaching Mahiyava via DSA Nanayaka Vidya. Vehicles travelling towards Katugastota can travel via Tilak Ratnayaka Mawatha near Kandy Police Station towards Katugastota. Vehicles arriving from Thannekumbura and Ampitiya areas can reach Wales Park Junction via Sangaraja Mawatha. They can take a turn towards the right of Ehalepola Kumarihami Mawatha to travel towards Colombo from Bogambara Railway Station by taking a left turn and can take a right turn towards Kandy City. Kandy City can be approached via Mosque Road from Raja Pihilla Mawatha Junction. All vehicles travelling on Ampitiya Theldini Road from Kandy City will have to follow Sangaraja Mawatha via Mosque Road and Wells Park Junction after reaching towards Torrington Junction from the Clock Tower roundabout. An opportunity has also been provided to travelling towards Thannekumbura by Sangaraja Mawatha via Ampitiya through Bogambara roundabout, Ehalepura Kumarihami roundabout, Rajapihilla Mawatha and Sangaraja Mawatha in case of traffic jam. Police further says that the road has been bifurcated vehicles in order to travel towards the Mosque Road for the convenience of the traffic plan. In addition, vehicles entering Kandy City from Colombo and vehicles travelling towards Colombo from Kandy City can use Williams Gopallava Mawatha from Old Peradeniya Road.
It has been revealed that an amount of 7,730,262 rupees has been paid extra, exceeding the approved fuel limit for the former Chief Minister of Sabaragamuwa Province during the period of 2014 to 2017 when the COPA committee met in the Parliament recently. Discussions were held on the report of the Auditor General and the present achievements during 2022 and 2023 in the Sabaragamuwa Provincial Council. Parliamentarian Aravinda Senarath chaired the committee. An amount of 5,035,262 rupees has been paid from the Road Passenger Transport Authority and an amount of 2,690,000 rupees from the Machinery and Equipment Authority as per a decision of the Cabinet of the Provincial Council, when an amount of 9,850,170 rupees was paid since 2014 monthly for 1,700 litres of fuel for 3 vehicles to the former Chief Minister. It has been recommended to provide a report to the COPA committee within a month in this regard. The Council recommended to reimburse the amount obtained exceeding the granted amount. It has also been revealed that the Private Secretary had obtained an amount of 725,000 rupees as the fuel allowance of the Chief Minister when the Provincial Governor was away from the country. Another revelation has been that 30-watt street lamps were provided for 90-watt street lamps by a supplier in 2024. The COPA committee recommended the presenting of a report within 2 months regarding levying of tax for land owned by the Provincial Council.
Prime Minister and Ministry of Education, Higher Education and Vocational Education Dr. Harini Amarasuriya has instructed the Investigation Division of the Education Ministry to expedite ongoing investigations into complaints received regarding schools and to fill existing vacancies within the division of strengthening its capacity. She gave these instructions when the Parliamentary Advisory Committee of the Ministry convened yesterday at the Parliament. This is the third meeting of the relevant advisory committee. During the meeting, Prime Minister Amarasuriya emphasizes the need for timely and transparent investigation into complaints in the education sector and stressed that necessary steps should be taken to ensure the investigation division is adequately staffed and equipped. This discussion covered a broad range of topics including teaching training, improving school infrastructure, addressing resources deficiency, relocating schools from temporary buildings to permanent locations, expanding vocational education opportunities for children with special needs, and ensuring fair university admissions. The Prime Minister also underlined the importance of implementing a proper system for appointments and transfers of teachers, principals, and the teacher educators.
We move on with more local stories in brief. The Aandivel ceremony of the Tamankaduwa Kadira Velayuda Swami Kovil in Peta commenced today. The Theru procession with the sacred statue of deities paraded up to the Pilliyar Kovil in Bambalapitiya and offerings were made at the President's office, Prime Minister's office and Indian High Commission. Three Indian businesspersons were taken into custody at the Katunayaka airport this morning with a haul of over 12 kilograms of Kush narcotics. The raid was conducted by the officials of Police Narcotics Bureau. The haul has a street value of 120 million rupees. We take a look at foreign news on the other side of this break.
වැඩතිදේ තෝරන්න රසකුරේ කරගන්න මේ හැම දේතන අපි කැමතිම දේ ප්‍රීමා ස්ටෙලා අපි හැමෝම කැමති.
Moving on to foreign news, US President Donald Trump has issued an executive order imposing an additional 25% tariff on Indian imports, citing India's continued purchase of Russian crude oil.
With this move, total tariffs on Indian goods entering the United States could rise as much as 50%. According to the executive order, the new tariff regime will take effect in 21 days, starting August 27th. Under President Trump's existing tariff policy, a 25% duty had already been in place on certain Indian imports. The new surcharge is being introduced as a punitive response to what the administration calls India's uninterrupted oil trade with Russia. Speaking on the decision, President Trump mentioned that India's ongoing purchases are helping generate substantial revenue for Moscow, thereby undermining international efforts to isolate Russia economically. He warned that continued trade with Russia, especially in energy, poses a serious threat to global security amidst the ongoing war in Ukraine. The Indian government has strongly condemned the new tariffs, calling them deeply unfair and unjustified in a statement. The Ministry of External Affairs said, India will take all necessary measures to safeguard its national interests, emphasizing that its energy decisions are guided by domestic priorities and long-term security. Russia is currently India's largest supplier of crude oil, accounting for more than 35% of the country's total oil requirements. During the first 6 months of this year, India reportedly imported approximately 1.75 million barrels of Russian oil per day.
For today's sports news, Team Greens won the first match of the T20 cricket tournament organised by the Sri Lanka Cricket by 4 wickets today by defeating Team Blues.
The match was played at the SSC grounds in Colombo. Sri Lanka national cricket team, Sri Lanka cricket A team and the emerging Sri Lanka cricket team are in this tournament, and the Blues team, batting first, scored 143 runs all out in 19.4 overs. Pathum Nissanka scored 28 runs while Kusal Perahera chipped in with 24 runs. In bowling, Chamika Karunaratne captured 3 wickets for the Greens team. Dushmantha Chamira bagged 2 wickets. Greens team, chasing a victory target of 144 runs, reached the target at the end of 16.5 overs, losing only 6 wickets. Chamika Karunaratne scored an unbeaten 47 runs, while Kamindu Mendis scored 36 runs. In bowling, Dasun Shanaka captured 3 wickets and Akila Dhananjay 2 wickets for the Blues team. The second match will be played tomorrow at the SSC grounds between Greys and Blue teams. And that's all the news we have for you tonight. Join us same time, same place tomorrow as well. Signing off, it's me Sonal alongside Sitami. Have a very